Here we go, my friend. Welcome to Strategies with Soul Friends. Today, oh man, you're going to get lit up with me. You've got two generators. If you don't know what that means, you will by the end of this conversation. But on today's episode, I'm introducing you to my friend, Carolina Ximena. Am I saying that correctly?
Ximena.
Ximena, pardon me, Carolina Ximena. And okay, so before we pushed record, I'm like geeking out over my chart, my human design chart, and we're going to introduce this to you. But I want to give Carolina a chance to introduce herself. So go ahead and like give us where you're from, what your genius is, and then we're going to dive right in.
I love that. So yeah, my name is Carolina Ximena. I am from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. I am a biracial queer. That's a tagline I am very much trying to re-embrace again. Oh, do we freeze?
On that.
Oh, there we go.
I think we're back.
Yep. Yeah, we're back. And my zone of genius is really getting to the root of things and explaining things very simply and in a way that people can understand. So I always say my superpower is bringing order to chaos, which is in my human design chart. I have the channel 360 activated.
Wow.
And that is the channel of bringing order to chaos. So I am able to see, chaotic thoughts, chaotic energy, and all of this. And I'm able to really get to the root of it and help people understand what's going on and how to move forward from that. So I really love to connect with spiritually curious millennials, I like to call them, people with a traditional corporate background who like see the woo-woo stuff and are interested in it. But then there's some people who teach woo-woo that it's like, that's too much for me. So I like to kind of bridge the gap between the logical and the magical.
I love that. And so this episode is specifically for you who are spiritually curious. You don't have to be a millennial. I'm in that weird box where I'm in that weird box. I don't even know what it's called. But it's like, we're not a gen, whatever. We're not a anyhow. This could be for you if you are like, Heidi's talked about human design inside of our core group. What is human design on a different level? And if you like to geek out on astrological charts, if you are the type of person who you might just feel a little aimless and you're looking for a tool that can tether you, this episode is for you. So we're going to jump right in because I want to know when you started your journey with human design, because I use it every day, but it's like you could spend the rest of your lifetimes studying this stuff. So when did you get introduced to human design?
In 2018. I like to say I started my human design experiment in 2018. And exactly like you said, like there is so much information when it comes to human design. And I believe I was actually introduced to human design prior to 2018. But the first time I saw a human design chart, I was so overwhelmed. There were so many shapes and colors and numbers and
arrows. If you didn't know there were arrows, I learned about arrows right before we came on here.
Yeah, totally. Arrows and symbols and all of these things. And when I first saw a human design chart, I was like, nope, too much. That is not what I want to. Nope, I cannot. So it is
such a generator response too.
Totally.
Isn't it? Like,
nope, not for me. It can be very, very overwhelming when you first see it. And I was overwhelmed when I first saw a human design chart. And so, eventually the universe was like, okay, now it's time for you to dive into human design. And human design truthfully completely transformed my life, completely changed my life. Everything that I felt like was wrong with me, everything that I felt like went against the status quo and that, I do things differently and all of this, I found an answer for why that was within my human design chart. And it gave me so much permission to just be who I am. I don't have to do things like so-and-so does. And in fact, if I do things like so-and-so does, I'm actually going against my own authentic energy, and then things aren't going to work out. So I always like to say following somebody else's strategy or copying somebody else's method is like putting a GPS address into your GPS, but then you end up at their house. Like you're not going to end up at your house because it's not your correct roadmap. Right.
And I think that the chart for me, when I was first introduced, it was such a breath of fresh air when I had my first reading. It was like, oh, this is more confirmation than anything else. Like this is a legit strategy with soul that leads you back to yourself. Is that fair?
Totally. Yeah. My first reading, a minute in, I was already crying because I already felt so seen, and it's very intimate. So whenever I do a human design reading, I send a PDF accompaniment with it as well. And I always include like, thank you so much for allowing me the intimacy of looking at your energy, because you can really read somebody's energy and how they function and all of these things. And I almost like to call, when I'm doing a human design reading, I like to call it almost like energy surgery, like it's so intimate. And I just see like the inner workings of how somebody's energy works. And it is very intimate and it is very vulnerable, but it's so beautiful because, like I said, it literally gives you permission to be who you are, not who society wants you to be.
Right. And I think that we're just inundated, right? There's so many people that have an opinion about what you're doing, or there are so many well-meaning people, even in your family, who are like, this is how we do it, and family first. And, a lot of these idioms that can be very, very harmful if they are in direct competition with who you are.
Yeah, totally.
And your chart is one way to learn more. And I think that this is at least true for the clients so I have them get a human design reading and we work with their chart, but it's also like, it's not anything they don't know about themselves. It isn't, it's not usually a surprise. Is that your experience as well?
Yes, absolutely. Like more often than not, the feedback that I get is, I feel so seen by you and I've never even met you. Like you've told me things about myself that I, buried beneath myself, or that I knew intrinsically. And this is why you'll see, like on my website, I always use the terminology in brackets. I don't say like, I'm going to help you connect to yourself. I'm going to help you reconnect to yourself, because you already know who you are. You were already connected to yourself. My favorite human design observation is with children.
Totally.
Watching children intuitively know what is correct for them. One of my really good friends, she has a toddler now, and her toddler is a generator. She will frequently post stories on Instagram of her toddler running around her bedroom right before bedtime. And I'm like, deplete that sacral energy, baby.
Totally.
Deplete that sacral energy, because she's doing what is correct for her. And what is so unfortunate is that when parents aren't aware of human design, they look at that and they're like, what are you doing? It's time for bed. Stop playing around. Stop doing this. Stop doing that. And you are teaching this child to not trust themselves, to not trust their energy, to not trust their own energy and what is correct for them. And then we wonder why there are so many adults in society who don't know how to make decisions, or who don't know what they want out of life, or who don't know who they are. And it's because, unfortunately, and it's not intentional, obviously, a majority of parents have the best of intentions, but they're doing with the best they can with what they know for them, for their energy. But it's actually
what a book told them,
or what a book told them. Yeah.
Told them, or that was really life-changing when I found out my kids' designs. And as a generator, it didn't occur to me that everyone else wasn't also a generator. And that's the majority of people, right? Like, it's like, that's a big deal. But my oldest son is a manifester. And learning how to have a really beautiful relationship between a manifester and a generator has been life enhancing for us. Because it's like, honey, you really do just need to tell me, like, just inform me, what is it that you need? And at this season of your life, it's still important for you to get permission, because I am still the keeper of your safety. And but when we have conversations where I can just be like, dude, tell me, what do you need me to know?
Yeah.
He goes for it
in an aligned way, right? It's not like he's like, can I X, Y, and Z? It's like, Mom, I need to do this. What are your thoughts? And that's correct for your energy, because now you can respond to the conversation. And now two energies that are very different are working collectively together. And it's so beautiful to witness.
Yes. And it's been, my other two children and my husband actually are all manifesting generators. And so it's this weird, wonderful collection of energies.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely am the one that's like, okay, the engine, right? I am the engine. But knowing their energy level, knowing that there are times where the generator is off for me has been huge. And I mean, for them to already be speaking human design makes me feel like, okay, I mean, I'm still a big fan of therapy, but I also think
totally.
Hey, I think I may have saved them a couple of years of therapy and they can work on other things in therapy now. It doesn't have to be, my mom would let me be who I am.
To be honest, I am not at this moment, but I will be going back to school for my master's in counseling and clinical psychology, because I just believe that therapy completely changed my life. I believe that therapy is a necessity for a majority of people, if not everyone. But I think bringing human design into that and having an understanding of where someone could potentially be conditioned, pulling in external energy and all of these things, it's something I definitely don't have the capacity for at the moment.
Right.
But it is something that is on my list of things to do.
What I want to invite into the conversation is what you just said, where I don't have the capacity right now. Can we explore that through the lens of human design? Because as a generator, that's huge for you to be able to go like, admit your capacity. Can you talk about what that's like to live within? So we use the word integrity in my groups, but integrity means wholeness, but to like living in wholeness with that knowing. What is that like for you? Because my assumption is that you were kind of a push through, get shit done, check all the boxes. Like I said, I'm going to school. I'm going to go to school next semester. Like, tell me what that has been like for you to undo that.
So it's really funny. I'm very much heavily in a season right now of learning to trust the universe and surrendering to the universe's timeline versus what I think is correct. And
how about you be kettle and I'll be black?
Yeah. And something that has been really beneficial for me to kind of repeat to myself is that if I force things, which goes against my generator energy, if I force things, I am picking an apple from a tree before it's ready. I'm picking an apple that is green when it could have been red. And now what am I going to do with that apple? It wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. Now I can't have a delicious snack. Now I can't make an apple pie. Now I can't plant that and grow another apple tree for even more abundance. Like I am cutting that plan short because I thought the apple was ready when it wasn't.
So you just wanted it to be.
I wanted it to be.
Or someone else told you,
totally
go get that apple.
Totally. And so understanding that just because I have the capacity to do things doesn't mean I have to. So in traditional human design, generators are known as the working horses. And so when you hear that, it's like, oh, I was so disappointed when I found out I was a generator.
Me too.
In human design.
What did you want to be?
I wanted to be a manifester.
I wanted to be a reflector just because they were like
so rare.
So rare. Like, I'm not a unicorn. What? I swear I'm a unicorn.
But you are a unicorn in your own way. There's no other generator that has your chart.
Oh,
right? Like I wish I was good at statistics and probability, because I would love to figure out what the actual probability is of someone having the exact same chart as you, because there are 9 different energy centers, but you can have any combination within that 9, defined or undefined or open. There are 64 gates in human design, but you could have those activated, not consciously activated, unconsciously activated. There are 32 channels in human design. You could have any number. So like I tried to, and I was like, I can't, I literally cannot quantify.
Talk about capacity.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm just going to start saying the probability of someone having the exact same human design chart as you is like 0.00001%. Like, it's just wild to me. And then there are these people out there preaching like, this is the way to success and this is how you should be doing something. And I'm like, get out of here. There is an infinite number of possibilities. And something that I always like to say about human design is that human design doesn't tell you what you can or can't do. So it's not like manifestors. Yes, they are the creators of new energy, but that doesn't mean as a generator, I can't create. It's just how it gives us insight into the how we are best to do something. So yeah, a manifestor can create something by just initiating fresh energy. I don't have that, but I can respond to something. I can listen to a podcast, an audiobook, go for a walk, meet a friend for coffee, do something, receive some inspiration from something, check in with my authority. Do I actually want to take action on this inspiration or not? Yes, green light, boom. Now I'm responding to something and now I'm creating something.
And what's so interesting are my manifesting clients are like, I wish I had that yes or no. I wish I had the or like, it's like, yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
It's
my projectors too are like, I just have to wait to get invited to everything.
So here, I do want to say something about that. Like I do feel for projectors, and anytime I've waited for a projector, or pardon me, I've worked with a projector and they hear that, it's very triggering because our projectors are our leaders. They're our guides, right? They're here to show us a more efficient way of doing something, but then they get triggered by having to like wait for this permission. So I saw this be very beautifully exhibited in my stepmom, who is a projector. And so she does this thing where she asks for permission to your energy. So she will say, do you have a minute? Can I ask you something? So now she is technically like initiated the conversation, but she's waiting for that permission. She's waiting for that invitation for me to accept her energy. So something that I personally like to say for projectors is not necessarily wait to be invited, but wait to be accepted. Wait for your energy to be accepted. Because once that energy is accepted, and like my father is a projector and he's a very unaware projector, right? Like he very much functions as a manifestor, and it's very triggering for me.
Sure.
You know, like he'll just barge into my office and say, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, can you not? And as a generator, when I'm on my roadmap to like, I'm on my tunnel to something, do not interrupt me. I am busy doing something right now, right? So it's very triggering for me. However, human design has given me the awareness of his energy. So I'm able to extend a lot more grace now than when I was a child or when I was in my early 20s or anything like that, right? Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, okay, take a breath. He's unaware, and we're going to keep moving forward. So that's something I always like to share with projectors, is that you don't have to just sit back and wait for the world to pass you by and then magically somebody's going to open the door for you. You know, and the one time that my stepmom didn't do this for me, I was like, can we not talk right now? Like, it was so wild to me, the dichotomy of how her energy just like penetrated my aura without permission.
Yeah, it's violating. Yeah,
it is violating. It is.
Yeah. And I think with my projectors, specifically within a coaching relationship, it's like, it's okay for you to say, hey, can I share something?
Yes.
Hey, I've got an idea. Hey, there's something that I've been noodling on. Do you have? And it's those types of, I mean, it's a great sales technique too, gaining permission. Like I sold cars for a long time, which was a super fascinating season of life, but they taught you.
Man.
Yeah, they taught you to ask permission. And there is something about like, I mean, I never thought that would be where I would learn about consent with selling cars, but it really was like the relationship that I had with the people that were buying from me. They felt safe. And I love all of what you're sharing. What I wrote down, and this will probably end up being one of your quotes, was just because I have the capacity to do something doesn't mean I have to.
Yeah.
You talk about that just in terms of like women in general.
Oh, please.
Just because you have the capacity doesn't mean you have to. Can you say more?
I woke
you to
up.
say more.
That's so funny. I feel like my energy knew we were going to have this conversation, because this morning I literally woke up and I was fired up at how much society expects women to sacrifice. And if I am not a martyr and completely killing myself for other people and sacrificing every ounce of my energy for others, I am a terrible person. I am a terrible woman. I cannot. I really highly recommend, I don't know if I can plug somebody else here or not, but Rachel Rogers' book, We Should All Be Millionaires.
That's actually how we met, you guys, was inside Rachel Rogers' group.
Yes.
We Should All Be Millionaires. And I think we should give a shout out. Like, we're schmillies, man. Like,
totally.
And I have never been one who wanted to be labeled. I'm always like, God, are we doing that? But legit, I'm a schmilly. And so are you. And that's where we met. But yes, please give a shout out to her.
Yeah, that book was so transformative. I got my book club to read it, actually. So there's like 15 women, reading this book, and all about like boundaries. And, kind of my biggest takeaway was that it is more important to enforce a boundary than set a boundary. Because if you set a boundary,
two different skills.
Totally. If you set a boundary, but you're not actually going to enforce it, you are conditioning people that they can you're a pushover. So you're better off not setting the boundary to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
at least more honest. It's more truthful to not have a boundary than to have a bullshit boundary.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But enforcing boundaries, what I have found in the work that I do with coaching is the physiology of enforcing boundaries brings up so much of our stuff.
Totally.
What are they going to think of me? They're going to think I'm a bitch. And it does it's a lot of energy to enforce a boundary at the beginning.
Totally.
It gets easy, but you're usually so exhausted by having the courage to set a boundary that enforcing it is like, wait a minute, I already set this. Now I have to I got the door closed. Now I have to push it closed. And
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Heidi. Once you start doing this work, once you start understanding how your energy works, once you start setting and enforcing boundaries around your energy, your tolerance.
Oh my God. Totally.
I have no room anymore.
I know.
I have no room anymore. And even for my own stuff, I don't remember, it might've been before we even hit record, but we were talking about how I used to be able to force myself to do something. Now, if my gut's we don't want to do this, I'm like, I guess we're not doing this.
I know.
And if I force myself, it doesn't actually get done.
No.
Because I end up forcing myself, but then I end up procrastinating it because I don't want to actually do the thing. And then all I'm doing is just bringing my vibration down, bringing my energy down, thinking that I'm actually doing something, but all I'm doing is just wasting time. And I might as well just go read my, smutty romance novel in my hammock, because that's what my energy actually wants to be doing.
Yes. And what is let me speak for myself. And I think I'm within my energy more often than I'm not, but it still feels a little risky to trust things. Is that, can you speak
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. That is definitely conditioning. And I feel like manifestors feel this the most. One of my best friends is a manifestor. And when I shared with her what her correct strategy was, she was like, oh, that makes me feel so selfish though. I just have to go around telling people I need this, I want this, I think this, I feel this. And I said, yes, but you have to also trust your energy. You have to trust that when you work correctly within your energy, it's going to land correctly.
Right.
Because it is correct for you. Yeah. Now, there's obviously two parts of that equation. If it doesn't land correctly, that's not a reflection on you. That's a reflection on where that person is in their journey. And they might not be aware of their energy. They might not be aware of all of these things. Right?
Can we start a place where everyone knows their energy?
I swear to God, I am manifesting the fact that we live in a world where we introduce ourselves with our pronouns and our human design. Hi, I'm Carolina Ximena, she, her, 2-4 sacral generator. Because then we just instantly have this understanding like, oh, you're a manifestor. Oh, you're a projector. Oh, you're a reflector. Wow, you are a unicorn. Oh, you're a generator. You're a manifesting generator. And it just gives you this immediate understanding and acceptance of the person in front of you and that they are a little bit different than you are.
I mean, that in and of itself, the acknowledgement that someone else might be experiencing something other than what you're experiencing, can we just call that maturity? Hold on, I got hot about that. Like I got hot about that, which is good. I've got other irons in the fire where I get to stoke that and cultivate that. But there is something about, for me, it's self-reverence. That's what we talk about in my Lead from Within group, is like, there's something other than self-care. Self-care can be another thing on your to-do list. Self-reverence is truly like cellular primal acceptance of the gift that you are. Mm-hmm. And for me, human design was another layer of self-reverence. It was like, and I still am learning about my chart. I swear to God, I'm going to be learning about my chart for the rest of my life. I didn't even know I had arrows until you and I spoke,
but
right?
That's the thing. And that's why I love to call it a human design experiment, because as you grow, as you evolve, here's the thing, human design language and human design interpretation and human design books and YouTubes and articles and all of these things, they have all been interpreted by different energies. So we're going to put our own biases on these translations. So when I work with human design, yes, you need a foundational understanding. Maybe you have people in your community listening to this being like, what's a reflector? Like, what's this? What's that? Right? So yes, you do need a foundational understanding of what human design is, what's in your chart, all of these things. But a crucial step people miss is actually translating that information into how it actually shows up in your life. What does this actually mean for you? There have been things in my human design chart where I'm like, I don't really resonate with that. And then I move on. And then I go back a couple months later and I'm like, oh, this is how I actually see this showing up in my life.
Yes.
So like maybe I have to switch a couple of things around, but like I can see where at the root of this actually does pertain to me. But now I've translated it into how it actually shows up in my life. And then the last step that people really miss is actually experimenting with this, putting it into action. How does this show up? And like I said, as we evolve and we grow, that language is going to change and evolve and grow. So maybe at one point I'm using a very simple example here, but maybe at one point your yes in your sacral was like a butterflying feeling, you know? And then now you're so much more aware of it that like a no feels like a tsunami in your body. And you're just like, hell no, like this is not happening whatsoever. Right? Again, it's a pretty basic example, but that's what I mean. Like we are constantly evolving and growing. And if we're not, truthfully, we're dying. Like 100%. We are here to evolve. We are here to grow. We are souls living a human experience in order to grow and evolve and spiritually awaken and do all of the things. With that being said, like I said, all of these other things are also growing and are also changing and are also shifting.
Yes.
So well said. We are going to be, learning about our charts for the rest of our lives, because we're going to be always changing and seeing, okay, how do I reflecting on this? How does this now pertain to my life? Oh, this actually looks a little bit different.
And I think that having this as a tool to come home to, having this as for me, this is a strategy with soul. It is, my strategies have to have soul or I don't do them. Like if they don't have fire, if they don't have passion, if they don't have, well, I'm also a 1-3, right? So I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to investigate. I'm going to have to Google it and then go, I don't really like that. But what if I did it this way?
Yeah.
But for a long time, I operated thinking that I failed a lot. Because
oh my God. And especially for 1-3s, especially I find 1-3s are really magnetized to me for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because I give permission to really try things and experiment with things, but I feel like the 1-3s get so caught up in the conscious one. I need research. that they forget about the unconscious 3, that they have to actually experiment with that. Yes. So I'm a 2-4. So I get very comfortable in my hermit shell. I get very comfortable in my hermit shell.
But you have to go teach it.
But I have to go into my network. So I need people to help me pull myself out and remind me. Because if I get too in my hermit shell, then I feel stuck because I don't have any new energy coming in from my network.
Well, you have nothing to respond to.
Exactly. So I have to consciously remind myself of my unconscious profile of the network.
That's how I feel about experimenting, where it's like, of course you have to experiment. It's why I give like 90-day trial periods to everything, where it's like, I'm going to do this for 90 days like this and kind of see what works,
Love that.
I need enough time. Because I do in my Colby, I don't know if you're familiar with. So I'm a higher quick start. I'm not a super high quick start, but I want to, let's go. Like, let's do it. If we're going to experiment, I don't want to talk about the experiment.
I'm the complete opposite.
I
need all of the planning. I need all of the foundational stuff, and then I'll get to it. Right. And see, we're both generators.
I know,
and I love how
need a
you
system.
say,
yeah.
I love how you say human design as a tool, because that's something that I always like to say too, is that all of these things are layered with one another, right? Like you have your human design, you have your astrology, you have your Myers-Briggs, you have your Enneagram, you have your Colby, you have your Clifton Strengths, you have all of these things that make you who you are.
Right.
I like to say human design is the foundation because it's how you're actually designed. It is programmed into your DNA. Right? This is like nature versus nurture, right? This is who you are in your DNA through evolution, who your soul chose to be. And like, we can get into the quantum mechanics of human design. Human design is comprised of 5 different, belief systems, quantum mechanics being one of them, and then, the other parts of that, there's more personality. And Myers-Briggs, for an example, like I know people who in their lifetime have changed their Myers-Briggs personality types, because your personality changes and grows and evolves as you change, grow, and evolve. But
and I think we can get stuck too, where it's like, well, I'm an INFJ and that's what I'm always going to be. And and it can get where you're so rigid, or it's like, well, my chart said I'm this, or can be the women in my Lead From Within group, we can get paralyzed with all of it. And so I love that you're talking about the experimenting, because it's not enough. I say this all the time. It is not enough to know.
No.
You are a physiological, magical creature that is designed to be in the world, not just behind a screen, studying and Googling and knowing what to do, but you don't actually do it. Yeah. It's very obviously animating for me, because what I know is that when women do things imperfectly, so much wonderful magic happens. But when when women especially are waiting for the perfect time, or for me, the perfect system or the perfect tool, we miss out on all of your imperfection.
Yeah.
And your imperfection has gold in it. Give me all your imperfection. I want to see it. Because there's wisdom there, right? Oh my God. Okay. I could talk human design all day long. Okay. So for those that are curious, where should they begin? If someone was like, I need to do this, what's step 1?
So step 1 is you need to know your birth time. So a lot of people don't know this. And I actually was listening to a podcast the other day, and I wish I knew what podcast it was so that I could give it credit, but unfortunately I don't.
If you remember it, I'll just add it to the show notes. So
I think it might have been Manifestation Babe. I think it might have been Catherine Zinkina's Manifestation Babe. I'm pretty sure it was hers, and talked about, if you don't know what your birth time is, you can use a pendulum, so a crystal pendulum, and then ask the pendulum, was I born, because your birth date. So I was born on April 17th. I know I was born at 10:06 p.m., but let's say I didn't know that. I could say, like, was I born before noon on April 17th? No. Okay. Was I born after 10 p.m. on April 17th? Yes. Okay. Now I'm getting closer. Then you go, okay, was I born between 10 and 11? Yes. Okay. Now, was I born before 10:30 or after 10:30? Before, or no, pardon me. It has to be yes or no. Yeah.
Yep.
Was I born between 10 and 10:30? Yes. Between 10 and 10:15? Yes. Between 10 and 10:10? Yes. Between 10 and 10:05? No. Okay. Between 10:05 and 10:10. And then you just start to work it down till you can get your birth time using a crystal pendulum, because that is allowing your spirit guides to give you the answer.
Wow.
So that's a more spiritual way. Yeah, I was really intrigued by that. So that's a more spiritual way.
I've used a pendulum for years. It's one of the more woo things that I do that I don't always talk about. And when I was a massage therapist, people would say that all the time, like, well, you look so normal. But then you'd come into my studio and it's crystals and stones and pendulums and oils. And I mean, it was a lot of woo.
Yeah.
But I'm like, am I supposed to just wear like, a weird flowy dress with a parrot and a wonky eye? Like, what is your definition? Like, what's what's palatable now?
Totally.
But I love that we can talk about pendulums and it's like, yeah, that's a tool you can use. I love that.
Yeah, totally.
You need your birth time.
So you need your birth time. And then the 4 kind of things I really think people should know, at least in their human design chart, is what your energy type is. So there's 5 different energy types, as you've heard us drop through the conversation. So you could either be a generator, a manifesting generator, a manifester, a projector, or a reflector. So your energy type. Second is your authority. So if you learn those 2 things, I'll be happy. If you learn just your authority, I'll be happy. Truth be told, because something I always say is all roads lead back to your authority.
I totally wrote that down when we had our first conversation. I literally wrote that. I was like, okay, that was for me. That was the nugget that was just for me on our first call. Can you share why?
Yes, because no matter what, your authority is your internal compass. It is your ability to navigate what is correct for you and what isn't correct for you. So an example I like to give is, like I said, I have an undefined head center in human design, which is the top triangle when you look at your chart. So for me, I like to call them absorbing centers. So this is where I absorb energy that's not actually mine.
My God.
The head center is all about, inspiration and ideas and all of that kind of stuff. It is also a pressure center. Yes. So I'm receiving all of this stuff that's not actually mine. And then I feel pressure to actually do something with this inspiration or all of that kind of stuff.
Do you have an undefined root as well?
No, I have a defined root.
I have an undefined root and an undefined head, and that pressure, I have made more unaligned decisions just to relieve pressure.
Yes.
But it was not within my authority, and I'm emotional, like legit.
Yeah. So I do have a defined root. So I have a consistency in how I constantly feel pressured to take action. So that has been deconditioning too, right? Yeah. So it's having a defined or undefined center is neither good or bad. It's just different in how you either absorb energy that's not yours, or you have a consistency and a rigidity in it, right?
Yeah.
So I might have a defined root center, but that definedness might actually work against me in that I consistently feel like I consistently felt like I needed to be doing something and all of these things and burning myself out. But going back to my head example, if I get inspired by something, I'm not designed to make decisions with my head. Nobody is.
Amen.
Nobody is designed to make decisions with their head.
Did you hear that? I know that it's mostly ladies watching this. We're not designed. This should be last stop. This is a computer.
We're not designed to make decisions from here. So when I get an idea, I'm like, ooh, I should do this. I have to take a breath and say, okay, and ask myself using my correct strategy, which is a third thing I believe that people should know, so energy type, authority, strategy. My correct strategy is to respond to things. So then I ask myself, do I want to respond to this idea that I have? Then my authority tells me yes or no.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with manifesting. We think that, the universe, just like whatever the universe gives us, we have to accept. We are co-creating with the universe. It's not just up to us, and it's not just up to the universe. And so I always like to tell people the universe doesn't make our decisions for us. It gives us possibilities. It gives us opportunities. Our authority, and I go like this because my authority is the sacral. My authority is my gut. My gut. So here, if you take nothing else away from this conversation, please take away this. Not everyone is designed to make decisions using their gut. So the advice, go with your gut, could be completely incorrect for you if you are not
did a YouTube
sacral
video
authority.
about this.
Yes.
If you need more, go to her YouTube channel because she did a really well done video on how trusting your gut may not be right for you.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
It just blows my mind. And it did blow my mind. So for me, I asked myself, yes or no, do I want to take action on this inspiration that I received from an external source? If my gut says yes, okay, now I'm going to move through with it. If my gut says no, it wasn't mine to begin with. So then I'm going to let it go.
Yes.
And anything that happens, you pull something into your spleen, like, is this mine? Authority? No, bye-bye. Right? So I always say, no matter what, all roads lead back to your authority. The universe gives you a new job opportunity. Ask yourself if you even want it.
Right.
Don't just think, oh, well, the universe is giving me a sign, so like I should do this. The universe is giving you an opportunity.
Yes.
The sign that you're looking for actually comes from you. It comes from your authority and how you're designed to make decisions.
So to me, okay, so now I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. Are you ready? And I won't make it too long, but that to me is about worth. So when I have been researching worth, and I use research, but I study worth, like I Google it. I want to know like the root words of things. I love entomology. I love knowing all of that nerdy stuff. But worth is like equivalent value. And if we think that the universe is so much more magical than we are, of course, we're going to say yes to a whole bunch of options that may not be right for us if we don't have a sense of equality, right? With the magic of the universe. We are the universe expressed as a particular.
Yes.
And so when our worthiness gets cooked up, we can go, oh yeah, maybe that's a match. No, that's not necessarily a match. Guess what the universe is going to do? Because they have so many more options than we do. Oh, hey, how about this one? Yep. It's like going to a picnic. Just because there's a full dessert table doesn't mean all that shit tastes good.
Yeah.
Like you do get to be selective.
Yeah.
You are at choice. And to me, worth means being equivalent. And when we start to recognize that we are the equivalent of the universe's intelligence, oh my God, for me anyway, that has been a game changer.
And that's what we're here to do. And 2/3 of the population have an undefined or an open heart center. And that's where worthiness comes in. So people who have an undefined or an open, so I have a completely open heart center. So there's no gates activated and like truly open, because I don't even have any half channels going towards my heart center. So like literally there's nothing happening around my heart center. So I am truly an open-hearted person and I feel things. So I had to turn my phone off this weekend because I was just so buried under the polarizing content that is happening right now in so many different areas. But I was like, I can't. It just, I feel people's burdens. I feel people's obstacles. Like I feel everything so deeply because of that huge open heart center that I have. So for me, my lesson in this journey that I'm here to learn is that I have worth. And mine goes like up and down because I don't have that consistency. So people with a defined heart center, they will have a consistency. So they will either consistently struggle with worth and self-worth, or they will consistently have a pretty good, worthiness of them. And I don't like to think of things too concretely. Like obviously these things are to a certain spectrum to a certain extent, but for simplicity's terms, let's use generalities and extremes. So for me, I'm here to learn that my worthiness cannot be absorbed from somebody else. I am here to acknowledge that I have worth, that I have power. And 2/3 of the population is here to learn that.
Wow, that's amazing. Like you are power.
Yeah.
Like it's not even that you have it, like you are it. Oh, I get so.
And the last thing that I would love for people to know about their human design chart. So to recap, energy type, authority, strategy, and what your not self theme is. Your not self theme is your cue. It's your spirit signaling to your body, something's not working here. Wake up. So for me, as a generator, ours is frustration.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to do something, and again, this is that forcing energy, right? I'm not designed to freaking force things.
No.
When I'm feeling frustrated and I'm trying to push something through and I'm trying to put a square peg through a round hole, that is my soul telling my body, girl, what are you doing? This isn't working for you.
Yeah.
Right? So for manifestors, it's anger. Again, I said one of my best friends is a manifestor and she's felt angry literally her entire life until I started helping her decondition with her human design. Now she knows that when she feels angry, it's not that she's an angry person. It's that, oh, this is actually not working for me. Like this is my cue to take a step back, look around and see what's not working for me right now. Where am I not aligned with my energy right now?
And I think for me anyway, that inner authority has been such a cue to where my boundaries being breached or where am I obliterating my boundaries? Right. And am I in alignment with my purpose?
Yeah.
And am I in communion with my values?
Yeah.
Like when you were, I think it was before we hit record and you were talking about expansion and connection and freedom and all of these words, my whole heart was swelling when you were saying like, I want all of that. Like, yay, my generator is happy with you.
Yeah.
But when so obviously mine is frustration as well.
Yeah.
But it is that it's not even a yellow light. It's usually a red light. Like, hold up, sister. Where are we out of alignment? But that's a gift. So in my groups, we add the word sacred to those things. It's sacred anger. It's sacred frustration, because most people will interact with it. If something is sacred, they won't get rid of it. But women are taught, if you're frustrated, work harder. If you're angry, well, you're probably a bitch. Yeah. And so if you add the word sacred, sometimes it's just a little more palatable and it's true. It is sacred.
Yeah. And you're right. It is a gift. It is a gift because it is your soul telling you it's giving you like it's waving a red flag, like, hey, this isn't working. Like, let's change something here. And that doesn't mean throw the baby out with the bathwater. It just means maybe we need to change the temperature of the water. Maybe we need to, whatever, like add some Epsom salts or whatever, like.
Yes, but there's also such a theology that comes with that authority, so like frustration has a physiology, anger has a physiology. And if we get caught in that loop, it's almost like you don't have access to the tools. Like if you're super pissed or super frustrated, sometimes it's hard for me just specifically to remember like, oh yeah, that's right. Shit, I did it again. Yeah. I think that's going to be on my tombstone. Like I did it again. Yeah. That's going to be what's on my tombstone. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. All day long, I want to talk about this with you. I'm so grateful. Okay. So if people are going to want readings, they're going to want to get a hold of you. Like, how can they get you? What are you available for? Maybe as a question. Yeah. And how can people get a hold of you?
So like I said, we were talking about capacity, and right now my capacity feels very transitional. So the best place to go, I would say, would be my website, authenticsoulsclub.com. So you can find my YouTube channel there. You can find my Instagram there. You can join my human design reading waitlist there. If I put a new program out, it's going to be on there.
Cool.
If I also have a freebie, the free awareness manual. So if you're like, okay, where do I get started? Because like I said, human design can be very overwhelming. I have a free awareness manual again on my website. You can also go to bit.ly/awareness-manual, which I'm sure you will include in the description or the show notes or whatnot. Yep. And that will literally walk you through step by step. Because again, that's one of my superpowers, the step by step bringing order to chaos. It'll give you
systems.
It'll give you the step by step process of how to find your human design chart, what you need to know, and what that actually tells about you. And there's a PDF version, and there's also a video audio version, because I'm a video learner, I'm a visual learner. So I wanted to, I'm all about embracing what works for everyone. So I wanted to be able to adhere to the different ways that people learn.
Love that. And I think that's one of the biggest transitions over the last several years is naming equity as a value. And so I love that you are demonstrating that. So thank you. So I will make sure everything's in the show notes. And as we wrap, we're going to do Heidi's Big Five. So this is the list of 5 questions. And if they don't know what they are, they might if they've seen other episodes, but most of the time they haven't a clue what I'm going to ask, which I love. So,
and I don't. Let's see where this is
I know
going.
you don't. So just rapid fire.
Okay.
Complete the sentence. Leadership is
from within.
Lead from Within is the name of my program. I love you. Okay. Most recent life-changing book, because I know you read all the time.
Oh, we should all be millionaires.
Yeah, me too. Night owl or early bird?
Both.
Ooh, me too. Hybrid. I know the answer to this, but I always love what people add to it. Do you believe in magic?
Yes.
What's your definition? Follow-up question.
Magic is science. Science is magic. It is a spectrum. They are one and the same.
Okay, so I know people are going to be talking about this show, which I love. What do you want the legacy of our time together to be? So if someone was like, dude, you have to go check out this conversation, what is it that you want them to, what's the legacy of today's show?
Proof that one size does not fit all.
Well, I got goosebumps. See, I never know what y'all are going to say. It drives me nuts because I think I know. And then it's like, that's proof that one size does not fit all. That's so beautifully said, Carolina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful that this worked out. I'm grateful that we were able to meet in such an aligned community. And then just the magic of Zoom, the science of Zoom, right? And the gift of human design brought us together. So thank you so much for your time today, sweetheart. Sit tight for just a second while I close.
Totally.
But friends, okay, especially you generators are all probably lit up right now. So I love that. And as you need support, please reach out to either one of us. We're on fire for you. And I'm so grateful that you joined us today. And I hope that you're taking this inspiration, this information, you get to embody it, and you get to live the strategy with soul with ease and love and grace. And we will see you very, very soon. Okay? Be well, and we'll see you guys later. Take care.